This video is going to cover a beginner's guide to dealing with workbooks in Excel VBA. So we're going to start out with opening a workbook with our code. We're going to move on to copying data from one workbook to another. And eventually we'll get to adding a brand new workbook and also saving a workbook. So we're currently in a macro file called master loan file, and it contains multiple tabs with dates as the tab name, and each of these tabs has loan records that show loans that were dispersed on that particular day. This master file is located here in this folder, and we have a second file in this folder for the next day's loan records. And what we want to do with our code is open the second daily file and eventually use our code to copy the data from that file to our existing master file. So we're going to hit Alt F11 to go into the VBA editor window. Anywhere in this project window, I'm going to right click, go to Insert, and then Module. We'll call this subroutine my workbooks. I'm going to hit Control Space to get our little list of options. I'm going to start typing workbooks, enter a full stop, and then start typing the open method. Now once I add an opening parentheses after that, you can see I get a list of parameters. The first one is the only one we really need here, which is the file name as a string. And since that's a string, it needs to be enclosed in double quotes. And this is just going to be the full path of the file we want to open. So the easiest way to get that path is to go to the file, right click, go to Properties, click on the Security tab, and up at the top you should see the full path that you can copy. So I'll F8 through this and we should see the December 7th file get opened as soon as I execute this line. And there it is. So one thing you'll notice as soon as that file opens is we now have two workbooks in our project window. We have the original file that our code is in, and then we have the daily December 7th, 2021 loans file that we just opened. So now what we want to do is copy the data from the active sheet on that 12/07/21 file we just opened into our master workbook. And we want to add it to the end so that it's the last tab after December 6, 2021. So we're going to create a new subroutine. We'll call this copy to workbook. We're going to refer to our workbooks and the workbook we want to copy from. This time we only need the file name rather than the full path because this file is currently open, so you just need the file name with the extension. We want to copy the active sheet, so we refer to the active sheet and then copy. And I'm running out of space here, so I want to continue this on a new line. So when I want to do that, you need to hit a space and then an underscore, and that allows you to continue your code on a new line. So now we need to tell VBA where we want this copy to go. We want it to go after, and I could refer to my master file like we did the 12/7 file with this syntax here, or we could use this workbook because this workbook means whichever workbook you have your code in, and our code is in this master file. So we can refer to it as this workbook and then worksheets, and we want to dynamically copy this to the end of our existing sheets. So since we have multiple workbooks, we need to specify which workbook we're referring to for the worksheets collection, because we want to do the count of all the sheets on the workbook that contains our code, so that the destination is dynamically after all of the existing sheets. So if you look down here, we currently have the 1206 sheet active. When I execute this line of code, we should see 12.7 get added, and there it is. Now what if we wanted to copy this same sheet on our master file to a brand new workbook? We can create another new subroutine. We'll say copy to new workbook, and the way to do this is actually pretty simple. So we have this workbook again. We'll refer to our worksheet either by name, or we could just use the active sheet, since we'll just refer to it by name. And then we can use the copy method. And if you use the copy method without specifying a set destination of where you want it to go, it will automatically copy this sheet to a brand new workbook. So I'll hit F8, and you can see it just suddenly appears as book 1 to a brand new workbook. So the next thing we're going to cover is probably the easiest. We're going to create a new workbook. So I'm going to add a subroutine called add new workbook. We're going to reference our workbooks collection, and then select that first method you see there, add, and it's as simple as that. So when I execute this, a new workbook will get created, and there it is. So now we're going to cover saving an existing file. So we're going to save our master loan file. So we'll reference this workbook and use the save method, and this will do exactly just that. It will save this file, and that's pretty simple. What's a little bit more involved is saving, say, a new file that has just been added or created that does not yet have a set location. So in that case, what we want to do is use the save as method, because it requires you to enter a full file path. So what we'll do now is copy our 12/7/2021 sheet to a new workbook, and then save that workbook to the same path where our other files are located. So we'll call this sub save file as, and reference this workbook again. We'll reference our 12/7/2021 sheet, and we'll use the copy method. So this will create a copy of the sheet on a brand new workbook, which does not yet have a path. So now, with this active workbook, because it will be the active workbook, so we can reference the active workbook, we're going to use the save as method, and then we need to provide a full file name, which is a full file path. So we want to save it to our existing folder here, so I'm going to copy that path, and this needs to be enclosed in double quotes, and I need to add a slash to the end and then give it a file name and a file extension. So we'll just call this today's file, and we want to save it as just an XLSX file. So I'll F8 through this, and what we should see is a new file get created, and then that file gets saved to our existing folder. So the last topic I want to cover is closing a file that is currently open. So we'll add a new sub called close file, and we'll close the workbook that we just created called today's file. So I'll reference that file name and the file extension, and then we're looking for the close method. So that file is currently in the background here. When I execute this line of code, it should disappear, and it's gone. Well, that is all for this lesson. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe.